Well, guys, it's that time of the year again. Football is upon us, man. The preseason has just got started with that Hall of Fame game that was played a few days ago as I'm recording this video. And I think it's right time for me to go ahead and make an NFL tier list based on how I think each team will perform. I did one last year and I made a lot of the predictions right, but with how weird the NFL season was last year due to injuries and other things, like for example, the Ravens not even making the postseason, and neither did the Lions. There's no surprise that my tier list was all over the place. You know what I mean? So we're gonna be doing another one. It was kind of cool because I went to go when the postseason came around. I got to compare and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And I like how off I was. So we're gonna do the same thing this year. We're gonna do a tier list, like I said, based on how each team will perform. And as you can tell, I'm a Packers fan. I'm not gonna be biased at all, to be honest. At least I don't think I will be. Let me know in the comments if I'm being biased. But I'll probably put the Packers in the same spot as I did last year because I feel like every season they're kind of in the same spot. But anyway, guys, here's the tier list. I'm using the same exact tier list I used last time. There's quite a few tiers. I think 8 in total tiers from number one pick contention to Super Bowl favorites. So gonna be the same thing. All 32 NFL teams. Let me zoom this out a little bit. All right, that's better. So we're gonna go in no specific order. I'm just gonna do whatever order this is laid out in, starting with the New Orleans Saints. To be honest, I have no idea what the New Orleans Saints did in the off season. From what I've seen, I think Tyler Shuck or whoever the fuck was is gonna be starting QB this season, which I'm not very high on him at all. To be honest, I'm just gonna put it at missing the playoff. I'll put a mediocre at best. I feel like this is a team that's just gonna probably finish around 500, if not below. Kind of have the same season that they did last season, and just overall, just not be a team that are gonna be seeing unless some miraculous thing happens in the regular season. Because even when they had a chance with how weird the NFC South was last season, man, they still like couldn't get even be able to sneak in, or is it? It's definitely the NFC South. So yeah, Saints being a mediocre best, I think is perfect. Looking at the Dolphins, I think I put them in young but intriguing tier last season. I feel like that's going to be the same tier I'm going to put it in this season. They have Malik Willis, which is a complete wild card. Obviously, as a Packers fan, I know those games that he played in, he did really well, especially as a second string QB. So I was completely expecting him to be a starter on some team somewhere. He got the bid at uh, Miami, and they paid him a lot of money, which is actually crazy. But I don't know how well he's going to perform at the starting spot. I don't know how good the O line is for Miami. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa wasn't doing good. I don't even know where Tua went. So I think Tua went to like the fucking Bucks or some shit. No, not the Bucks, but some team that didn't need it. Probably the Falcons or something. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is they replaced Tua Tagovailoa because he wasn't worth the money, even though Tua Tagovailoa was kind of decent. He just wasn't worth the money they paid for him. And now they're going to try to start Malik Willis. So I also think he's overpaid, but it's just kind of the inflation. But I don't think they're going to be quite in number one pick contention, but they're definitely young and intriguing. I'll be having a close eye on the Miami Dolphins this season specifically. Looking at the Baltimore Ravens, I still think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. Just any time you have someone like Lamar Jackson under center, someone who can create plays and stuff. I understand that they missed the playoffs completely last season. He was getting battling injuries here and there, but he wasn't like out for like a long period of time. Don't know how much that affected the team overall performance because they did, like I said, severely underperform. And with Joe Burrow back, they might. I might have to slide him down actually. With Joe Burrow back, the Steelers somehow sneaking in. But yeah, I think that the Browns also lost their best player in Miles Garrett. I'm teetering on either one of these. I'm just still going to put them in Super Bowl contender because of just they have Lamar Jackson. I still think they still have Derrick Henry, and they have an insane offense that they can work around, and I think that's just enough to put them in Super Bowl contender. I know Lamar Jackson is notorious for not getting it done in the postseason, but I got to put him there. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. A lot of people are high on this team since Joe Burrow is coming back. I know he was out for like the entire season last season due to a toe injury that required surgery. I'm gonna put the Bengals in potential wild cards. I don't have them winning the division obviously because I have the Ravens on top of them. I do think the Ravens are going to do better. I like Lamar Jackson more than I like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow did have that really crazy Super Bowl run a few years ago, but he just hasn't been able to put it together since. People are still talking about how the O line needs work. He has a lot of weapons. I think this offense could be one of the best, probably definitely top five in the league. I feel like that's like the floor for the Bengals this season, just having a top five offense. But we'll just have to wait and see. We really just don't know, and I'm just gonna put them in potential wild card. Looking at the Broncos, man, the Broncos, if Bo Nix didn't get injured in that conference championship, they'll be having their bid for a Super Bowl. I think they just have to be in Super Bowl contender. I don't think they let go of any players. Bo Nix played solid. I know he wasn't exceptional or anything, but he did solid. He won games. That defense, though, was absolutely insane. One of the best defenses in the league, arguably the best defense in the league. I'm not going to put them at Super Bowl favorite quite yet because I feel like there are some teams that are kind of edge them out, especially in the AFC. I feel like the AFC has a lot of really good teams that can be Super Bowl contenders or Super Bowl favorites, but definitely a Super Bowl contender for the Broncos. I can 100% see them making the conference championship once again. You know what they say, defense wins championships, and the Broncos have an insane defense. Looking at the Giants, I'm going to put them in young but intriguing as well with the Dolphins. So they have Cam Scatterboo, who's literally doing backflips on an injured leg. Don't know when he'll be back or if he'll even stay for the entire season. He seems like a complete wild card, but he's extremely entertaining to watch. You got Jackson Dart, which had a pretty decent season after finally starting over Russell Wilson that season. Last season, he actually did pretty solid and had some hopes coming out of the season last year, but Young Tree, I think, is the perfect spot for the Giants. I feel like they probably miss the playoffs, but you know they got a young squad. I think, especially if Scatterboo comes back strong and doesn't get injured, and Jackson Dart stays out of the freaking medical tent, they might actually sneak in a close to 500 record. I still don't think they're going to be making any playoff runs anytime soon. Well, a team that I see a lot of people on certain groups on like Facebook and other things saying that the Vikings have like one of the best chances of making the postseason, like winning the division in the NFC North. And I don't know what they think that Kyler Murray is going to do in Minnesota. I really don't think it's going to be better than Jackson or what JJ McCarthy did because dude, JJ McCarthy was absolutely fucking terrible. Let's just be honest there. I'm sure that a lot of the fans and the team as a whole in Minnesota is just kicking themselves in the foot for letting go of Sam Darnold, who eventually obviously won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. Go, but maybe they'll. I feel like they're going to be a potential wild card. I feel like they're going to be. I feel like the NFC North is going to have three teams make it, and then I think the third spot that sneaks into the wild card is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. That's where I'm going to put them because they have a lot of good targets. They have a really good defense, and you never know what the NFC North because it's just a really tough division, man. It's like arguably the toughest division in football. It wasn't that case last season. It was the NFC West, but the NFC North was still a strong division last year. Looking at the Rams, definitely a Super Bowl favorite, man. They have the MVP, Matt Stafford, under center. They have a lot of good weapons on that offense, especially in the receiving core. And they have the best defender from last season, Myles Garrett, and Aaron Donald coming back out of retirement. Dude, they're gonna have such a good pass rush. It's gonna be. I feel bad for any quarterback that has to play them, deal with that them edge rushers and that defensive line, and they have such an elite offense. I think they were the best offense offensively. Jesus Christ, I just fucking said the same thing twice. They were the best offense last season in total yards and maybe even touchdowns. I'm not sure. And like I said, they had the MVP last season, which was Matt Stafford. So Absolutely Super Bowl favorite. Looking at the Tampa Bay Bucks, gotta get them missing the playoffs. I feel like at this point we gotta start asking the question: is Baker Mayfield the guy that's gonna be able to lead a team to a postseason run? I just don't think so, man. He shows up when the expectations are bare minimum, but when there's a do or die situation, he falls apart. He was dealing with some injuries last season, but man, I just don't see Baker leading this team to a postseason, man. Yeah, I feel like the team's getting older and older with like is Mike Evans even coming back? I'm not sure. I don't really keep up with everything that happens in the NFL during the offseason, but is Baker I don't know if Baker's playing for this team, but Baker's a really good I say he's a solid QB, but he just doesn't have the team around him yet, or probably will ever have a team around him that's good enough to make a postseason run. Looking at Detroit, I got them missing the playoffs too. I think that the Detroit Lions, as of right now, is the worst team in the NFC North. And I know I'm saying it's a bit biased. Maybe I could see the Packers. I could see them switching with the Packers, to be honest. But I'm a little bit biased. I ain't gonna lie. I know I said I was gonna be biased, but I'm a little bit biased. I think the Packers. I have the Packers probably finishing third in this division or in some way, but I just don't. I really favor the Bears over the Lions. I mean, the Bears got it done. The Lions had a deal with a lot of injuries last season, but I don't know, man. My gut's telling me that the Lions are going to finish bottom of the NFC North. That's just what I'm saying. It seems like the Packers always find a way to make the postseason. I have the Packers finishing third in the division. Like I said, I have three teams going, and that's going to get us right into the Bears. The Bears, I have probably winning the division, to be honest. As much as I hate to say it, the Bears were so. I put them in playoff team. I have them winning the division, finishing first in the NFC North with I think Caleb Williams, the Iceman himself, as he's called, is going to take another step this season. What really held him back was his completion percentage. I think he had like the worst completion percentage out of starting QBs last season. And if he can take another step, because he took such a big season, a step from his rookie season to his sophomore season, if he can step it up again this season, I could definitely see the Bears winning the division in the NFC North, to be honest. It's going to be a tough division. I really see it between the Vikings and the Bears, to be honest, as a Packers fan. Because like, I'll get into the Packers here in a minute, but yeah, that's what I got. The 49ers, I have getting that wouldn't be the last wild card spot, would it? The second card spot I have going to the 49ers. The NFC West is just a tough division, man. I mean, that was just a three-way with the Seahawks and the Rams and actually no, you know what? There's no way we can have the Seahawks. Yeah, we can't have the Seahawks and the Packers making it to the wild card. So I'm gonna actually put San Francisco down to missing the playoffs just barely. If they can stay healthy, maybe they can sneak in and maybe the Packers get out. I just feel like there's no way the Seahawks don't make it after winning a Super Bowl. I definitely have them finishing second in the division and getting that wild card spot. I just don't have them winning the NFC West because, like I said, the Rams are just so stacked. That's just such a stacked division in football, man. And I feel like the 49ers are going to have a decent record. Maybe they'll slip out. Maybe we can drop. I'm changing the list. I'm dropping the Vikings out of. I have the NFC West making three teams in the postseason. I just don't think Kyler Murray. I like the San Francisco's roster coming in this season over the Vikings, man. So that's going to be a quick switch right there. I have three teams, once again, the same three teams in the NFC West. You know what? I'm going to switch it back. I don't know what I'm doing, bro, but I'm going to have the Vikings. Actually, I'm going to stick to my guns originally. I'm going to have the Vikings going over. I don't think the 49ers are going to get done. I'm going to say they're going to get plagued by injury, and that's going to be that. That's all I'm going to say there. Eagles, as much as I hate to say it, Eagles are always going to be a playoff team because they just have such an easy division. The NFC East is, I mean, the Cowboys are on the come up, but they played also the Giants and the fucking Commanders, and the Commanders just really couldn't get it done, even with their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, fucking, he had that really good rookie season, had the arguably the best rookie season out of a quarterback ever in the NFL. And they still just in his sophomore season, I know he got injured here and there, but even when he was healthy, they weren't getting it done. I feel like they're not. I feel like the real competition in the NFC East is going to be between the Eagles and the Cowboys. The LA Raiders just going straight to number one pick contention. I just don't know when the Raiders are going to be a good team. I mean, they have a lot of weapons. They just got the number one overall pick last season. We really just don't know how good their quarterback is going to be. Yeah, you just don't know how good Fernando Mendoza is going to transfer. I'll give them a benefit that I'll put them in young and intriguing too, because they had a couple first round picks that were really solid. They have one of the best tight ends in football. They have Fernando Mendoza, which you just really don't know how he's going to perform. Kind of like the same thing with Malik Willis and Jackson Dart. I think the most sample size we have is out of Jackson Dart, but really these three teams you don't really know because how young they are. Now we're going to go into my team, the Green Bay Packers. Like I said, I have them sneaking in to the wild card, and three teams in the NFC North are going to make it. They're probably going to finish third in their division. It's really a toss-up between the Vikings and the Packers, in my opinion. For who I really feel like it's a toss-up for the entire division, to be honest. But I think the whole division is going to do well, and honestly, I could see the Lions going in there. But I just favor these three teams over the Lions. I really feel like the Lions are going to get knocked out of the playoffs entirely and finish bottom of the division like they did last season with the Vikings. But I feel like the Vikings and the Lions are going to trade places pretty much. Look at the Commanders. There's only so many wild card spots. I don't have them making the wild card. I have them missing the playoffs as well. Probably just barely. I just don't think they have what it takes to win enough games to beat out these two teams and eventually the Seahawks. So, or not the Seahawks, rather, but because I have the Seahawks also as a Super Bowl. Well, Seahawks would make a wild card spot because I feel like the Rams are going to beat them out. But anyway, I'm fucking rambling. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I just don't think the Commanders have what it takes to have a record good enough for them to get a wild card spot with how loaded the NFC is with really good teams. Look at the Cardinals, straight to number one pick contention. Their trading camp was literally a joke during the offseason, and yeah, just nothing more to say there. They did pretty good during the Hall of Fame game. That's the only other stuff I know about them, but overall, I just don't see them doing much at all this season either. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them going mediocre at best. They somehow snuck into the playoffs last season. I really don't see them doing that. This is probably going to be Aaron Rodgers' final year, and I just don't think they overpaid him, and I just don't think he has the weapons around him to really make a good run. I feel like they're going to finish probably third in their division above the Browns, and the Bengals and Ravens are just going to destroy them for 2 games apiece there. Bills, got to put them in Super Bowl favorites. I understand Josh Allen has struggled. You know what? For that reason, I'm going to drop him. He's kind of like the same case with Lamar Jackson. You want to, that this team's going to be really good. They have arguably the best quarterback in the NFL with Josh Allen. But Josh Allen has proven time and time again, especially last season, he played terrible there in that divisional game. And he just has not been able to get in the postseason. I have him as a Super Bowl contender, surely on the principle that I see them winning the division, obviously. And they have Josh Allen. It's always a chance they're going to win it. But, man, the clock's ticking. And Josh Allen has sold in the playoffs every year. And like I said, last season was really bad. So bad, in fact, that I would have put him in Super Bowl favorites last season. I'm pretty sure I did. But I'm just going to put him in Super Bowl contender because, to be honest, all 3 of these division winners, I can see grabbing it. Looking at the Atlanta Falcons, yeah, mediocre at best, man. Like, I never go into a season thinking the Falcons are gonna do exceptional. Just gonna be honest. That's all I'm gonna say there. It was a 3-way tie between the Bucks, the Falcons, and the Panthers, and all those teams were fucking negative. They were below 500, but the division was so freaking terrible. I think it's gonna be terrible this season too. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. Even though I have them finishing second in their division, they just came off a Super Bowl win. They can definitely do it again. They have really good defense. Sam Darnold has shown that he's been able to do it in the big games and do enough to win games, win enough games to make it to the Super Bowl, and that's something that has to be carried over into the season. I know they lost their running back who did in their Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker, but I just think that this team is stacked enough, and even without Kenneth Walker, can still pull together a good season and be a Super Bowl favorite. Look at the Patriots. I have them as a playoff team. I have them finishing second in their division, which is the AFC North, or no, AFC East, my bad, behind the Bills. Patriots really benefited last season from a historically easier schedule. And then even in the postseason, they had a lot of lucky games where there was injuries or a quarterback that did decent in the regular season just completely collapsed in the postseason. To be honest, this could go either way, but I still have them making the playoffs. 'Cause I still have faith in Drake May. He was a candidate for the MVP last season, so you got to give him credit there. I do think Drake May is the real deal. So I have them finishing second in the division, getting a solid wild card spot for sure. Looking at the Browns, man, they got rid of Myles Garrett, their best player. They had their starting Shedeur Sanders. I mean, where else am I going to put them? I feel like they're probably going to be the worst team, and they will get that number one overall pick. Looking at the Texans, even though they completely collapsed last season, I still think they're a solid playoff team. They just have too good of a defense. Man, if CJ Stroud can come into this season, shake off what the atrocious performance he had in the last few games of the season last year, this team can definitely pull off a deep playoff run. They were my favorites to win it all last season. Unfortunately, it didn't happen because, like I said, CJ Stroud didn't do good, and if he doesn't do good this season, they always have General Mills, which I think is still on the league team. I don't know. I didn't feel like checking the roster. He might be on the team, he might not. Looking at the Chiefs, I feel like I have to put them in Super Bowl contender. I definitely have them winning the AFC West. There just isn't a whole lot of teams there that can compete with them in that division, in my opinion. And Patrick Mahomes, he might not be the same quarterback, but he still has the same mental, and he knows how to win games. And I understand that even when he was healthy, the team was still struggling. I feel like they're in their dog years where they're not going to be each year as we continue, they're going to be more and more likely, like they're going to be less and less chance of them making a deep postseason run because they're not going to have as many weapons and stuff. But their expectations are going to be lower and lower. But they still have Patrick Mahomes. He's arguably the best quarterback in the league. So you got to give him credit. He knows how to win games. He's won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, he made so many conference championships. Until last season, I think as a starter, he never missed a conference championship game. So gotta give him credit, man. Gotta give him credit until Patrick Mahomes retires, or if he comes in the season absolutely shit, then I might consider dropping them to a playoff team. But with Patrick Mahomes under center, you gotta give it a Super Bowl contender. Looking at the Cowboys, I have them missing the playoffs too. Like I said, all the NFC division spots or the NFC playoff spots are filled. So there's really no spot to put the Cowboys here. So I don't have. I just feel like the Eagles are going to win the division regardless. They always find a way. They have a really good team. They have Saquon Barkley for crying out loud. Jalen Hurts knows how to get it done. And with a new offensive coordinator, maybe they'll have a legitimate offense. I feel like that was the biggest problem why the Eagles weren't able to get it all done this year and really kind of underperformed despite making the playoffs still was because of their offensive coordinator. So I still have the Eagles winning the division. Chargers also missing the playoffs. Man, I just don't think the Chargers have what it takes with Justin Herbert, I'll be honest. So that's just all I'm going to say. The Chargers is such a mediocre team, man. I'm going to put them in mediocre at best because I feel like the Chargers just are always a team you just forget about, man. Like you just don't care. And they made a wild card. They didn't do anything with it. They got bounced the first round. They made the playoffs. I feel like that's what's just going to happen. But with Patrick Mahomes coming back and stuff, I just feel like the AFC West is just going to be dominated by the Chiefs again, man. I feel like it's just going to be the status quo. I just realized I have too many AFC teams in the playoff picture here, so I'm actually going to drop the Bengals out entirely. So, yeah, out of the Bengals missing the playoffs. Just don't have enough faith in the team, and I just, like I said, I favor obviously these teams more than the Bengals, even the Texans. With we like I said, defense wins championships, man, and the Texans have such an elite defense. I have the Ravens winning their division entirely. New York Jets, what's there to say? They're always a fucking number one pick contention. The Panthers is the team in the NFC South that I have winning the division. I guess I'll put them in playoff team because they can't be a wild card, but they're not going to do much in my opinion. I just have them as the best for the NFC South. So it's just a team of like not great teams at all. Moving on. For the AFC South, Titans I have finishing as one of the worst teams in the AFC South. Just haven't really heard of anything about them in the offseason at all. Cam Ward, who has been like, people were talking about that he's been very limited based on his offensive line. I just don't think it's even going to matter. I feel like they're just going to finish bottom of the division. As for the Colts, I have them missing the division. They had a really good, like, kind of Mary Poppin-esque run to the postseason last year until Daniel Jones got hurt. I feel like they're not going to do it this year just based off principle because I have the Jaguars winning that division entirely. So, yeah, that's my list. I have the Jaguars. Actually, pardon me with that statement. I have the Jaguars missing the playoff too because, like I said, all the AFC playoff pictures filled. It's late at night, guys. I'm losing focus here and there, but I have the Titans finishing the bottom of the AFC South. Jaguars probably finishing second, Colt finishing third, and then the Texans winning the division as a whole. This is my tier list. I have a lot of teams missing the playoffs. All these teams I can see sneaking in, like the Bengals, the 49ers, Colts, Lions specifically, maybe even the Cowboys and the Jags. Jags, I feel like Trevor Lawrence. I feel like they just didn't make it win those games based off Trevor Lawrence. I know the quarterback's the most important position, and he did have a pretty decent season, man. But I just don't think he's going to do it again. I don't have faith in Trevor Lawrence. If he does it again, maybe I'll have more faith in him. But I have the Texans, man. I have the Texans. So basically, my division winners are for the NFC West. I have the Rams. For the NFC North, I have the Bears. For the NFC East, I have the Eagles, and for the NFC East, I have for the NFC South, my bad, is the Panthers. And then for the wild cards, I have for the NFC is going to be the Vikings, Packers, and the Seahawks, all making the wild cards. For the AFC, for the AFC North, I have the Ravens winning. For the AFC East, I have the Bills winning. For the AFC South, I have the Texans winning. And for the AFC West, I have the Chiefs winning. And for the wild cards, I have the Patriots, Broncos. I'm missing a team actually. Which team do I think has the most likely chance of slipping in between these three teams? I'm gonna give Joe Burrow and the Bengals their nod. So there should be 14 teams. 6, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. So there we go. That fills it out. So the Bengals are gonna be the wild card, finishing second in the division, obviously. So this is my playoff picture, or not my playoff picture, but my predictions going into this season. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know this was kind of like a wonky, kind of weird video because I did make a few changes throughout and change my mind in the middle of me talking and stuff. But this is what I think. We'll be coming back to this. We'll be coming back to this tier list months from now and seeing how close my predictions. Like I said last season, it wasn't even close. So this is just going to be where I put all these teams coming into this season, like I said. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. And I know it's going to be controversial, so let me know. And I'll see you guys in another one. Peace.